Welcome back, Truth Seeker. May 6th, 2026. Big headline today. Let me switch my audio before we get to it. Mic check 1, 2. But yeah, big headline today. Ted Turner, the supposed CNN founder, dead at 87. And we covered this as it broke this morning on Patreon. Again, if you're not on Patreon, that's where I'm live streaming every single day. On days where my daughter takes a nap, which today's 3 days in a row, I will stream while she's napping. She took a little bit longer to go down today. But yeah, Ted Turner, who launched CNN June 1st, 1980, shortly after the Georgia Guidestones were put up. He said that day CNN would be on the air until the end of the world unless there was a satellite interruption. He said, we will broadcast the end of the world. He gave a specific song that they will play on the day the world ends, which is supposedly the same song that was playing as the Titanic sank to the bottom of the ocean on April 15th, 1912. And of course, the Titanic, its sinking was foretold more than a decade in advance in the book Futility, Wreck of the Titan, where the boat, the biggest boat ever built, the Titan, hits an iceberg on its first sail from Europe to America and sinks, just like the story of the Titanic. No doubt that was real predictive programming. And if you don't know the story of the Titanic, a lot of the world's richest men died on that boat, but not J.P. Morgan. He got off at the last minute. And we know how that banking dynasty has fared with the absence of the men who went down that day. But yeah, the other thing about Ted Turner is big depopulation guy. He did a interview with the Audubon magazine in 96 talking about how the Earth's population would be ideal somewhere between 300 and 500 million. Remember, CNN launched not even 3 months after the Georgia Guidestones went up. And of course, maybe you don't know, CNN broadcasts out of Georgia. You know, they're headquartered out of Atlanta, Georgia, down there on the 33rd parallel. Some people call it CIA CNN, which seems quite fair to me. I'm pretty sure Ted Turner's another one of these CIA puppets. In fact, he delivered his remarks about depopulation on the CIA's birthday, September 18th, 1996. And right now we're being threatened with another big pandemic, which supposedly began on the 96th day of the year, April 6th. I did a short video on that yesterday. I'm going to be talking about that more in this stream because there was a whole lot more to the story. And I'm sure there's even more than I've caught. And that's what I lean on you guys for. But yeah, let's go through this because Ted Turner, you know, Mr. CNN, Mr. Depopulation, Mr. We're going to broadcast until the world ends, Mr. Atlanta Braves. We've been documenting the rituals they've been doing all year with the Atlanta Braves in 95, including the Braves becoming 9-5 this year versus Cleveland, who they beat in the 95 World Series 19 years after Ted Turner bought the team. And it's just amazing how they do this, guys. It's amazing how they do this. This celebrity ritual sacrifice, this elimination of another puppet off the world stage. Because again, I'm pretty sure that's what Ted Turner was all these years. He got to play the billionaire puppet, just like certain people do right now. You know, Elon Musk, great example. Mark Zuckerberg, great example. For everyone who thinks Mark Zuckerberg is the founder of Facebook, you need to pick up a book. Facebook launched the same day that DARPA's LifeLog ended, and then they put Puppet Zuckerberg up there. Yeah, I'm sure. Just like I'm sure Ted Turner was running CNN for all this time and not the CIA. But anyway, let's go through it all. Let's go through the baseball connections, the depopulation connections. It's amazing because today, the day of his death, has this very perfect synchronicity with the woman who sang the song that he said will play at the end of the world on CNN's live broadcast. So hopefully we're not close. You know, hopefully we're not close. We're being threatened with World War III. You know, Einstein, Mr. 33, with the CNN down on the 33rd parallel. Einstein said after World War III, the world will be left to fight with sticks and stones for whoever's left. Anyway, let's go through it, and let's be reminded of who really stands behind not just the CIA, but the puppets like Ted Turner, because it couldn't be any more obvious on a day like today. And I did kind of do a lazier decode. I don't know if some people don't like it as much when I do these lazier decodes. Like sometimes I'll take the extra 30 minutes to do all the screenshots. Today I just mostly wrote in things for time's sake, because now that I'm watching my daughter, I just don't have quite as much time. But yeah, let's just start right here. Earlier this week on May 4th, we talked about a celebrity death at 87 and how that's the number that goes with the Superior General. Just to make a long story short, Superior General 87, Ignatius of Loyola 87. He was the first Superior General as recognized by the Catholic Church, which equals 87. Today's 190 days to the upcoming Superior General's birthday. Cable News Network 190. And there's even more to it than that, as we'll get to, because we can measure from his last birthday, which also factors in. But yeah, perfect alignment with the Superior General again, just like it was at the start of the week with the other celebrity who died at 87. If you missed that, you can go back and watch the May 4th broadcast. But yeah, June 1st, 1980. It would have been a date with 87 numerology. The abbreviated date numerology that day would have been 6 + 1 + 80, 87, the day of the first broadcast for CIA, CNN. And Ted Turner said that day as they launched the network, "Barring satellite problems, we won't be signing off until the world ends." Keep in mind, we're coming up on the 46th anniversary. It's just days away. Sacrifice equals 46. Remember, Genesis 46 equates to sacrifice. If you're new here, what I'm talking about is the practice of coding numbers into words. 4 base ciphers of the English language, the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order, and the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. The 170 we'll be talking about. The World Series begins 170 days from today on October 23rd, which is Ignatius of Loyola's birthday anniversary, the leader of the Jesuits who stand behind the CIA and all these puppets on the world stage. Because again, the Jesuits run the show and not enough people talk about it. They gave us the calendar, the language, and they run the show, including this nation's government, its media. Yeah, there are other participating factions, but the Jesuits are the tip of the spear. That's why every last thing that happens in this world that's major on the world stage is synced with the Pope and the Superior General. But yeah, Ignatius of Loyola, 87. The World Series begins on his birthday. And you know what else is wild? Today's 231 days from the CIA's birthday, which is the anniversary of his remarks about reducing the world's population to somewhere between 300 million and 500 million. And then in a later interview that year, he also said 2.5 billion could work. Today's also 25 weeks exactly after the Superior General's last birthday, a bit like that, 2.5. Don't forget the Georgia Guidestones about the monument to the Georgia Guidestones were about reducing the Earth's population to 500 million. They went up 71 days before CNN launched, or a span of 71, right? Again, Catholic Church is who the Jesuits serve. Catholic 71. Actually, hold on. Did I finish saying this stuff about sacrifice? We'll also get to how he's dead 73 days after the anniversary of the singer's birthday for the song that he said will play at the end of the world. So again, 40 right at CNN's 46th birthday, 170 days from the start of the World Series, 73 days after the key singer who he referenced when he launched the network, and then the 62 just kind of goes with the state of Georgia. It also goes with the Seattle Mariners, who the Braves are playing right now. And you know how Seattle's the 19 city. The Braves play in Seattle right now. The Braves won the World Series 19 years after they were bought by Ted Turner. And you might recall the last Super Bowl we just had was all synced with the Pope. The last 3 times we've had a new Pope, Seattle went to the Super Bowl. And this past time, Seattle became 19-19 in the playoffs, exactly 19 weeks after the Pope's birthday, to advance to the Super Bowl, where they were up 19-0. And just for the record, Cable News Network, what CNN stands for is 190, which is the 19th triangular number. Again, going with his death 190 days before the Superior General's birthday. And here we are on 562, right? Society of Jesus 56, as in the Jesuits. And if you counted the span of days, it would also be a span of 191 days to the Superior General's birthday. But anyway, coming back, Catholic 71, you throw a the in front of it, the Society of Jesus. You could also say, rather than, he's also dead on the 235th day of the Pope's age, for the record. But you could also say it's a span of 72 days as well, like Jesuit Order 72. And yeah, he won the World Series with the Braves in 95. And of course, Braves equals 95. And the Braves have done a lot of 95 rituals this year. They became 9-5 against Cleveland, who they beat in the 95 World Series. And think about that, Braves and Indians. Looking back at that, thinking about that with Ted Turner's Mr. Genocide. Who got genocided? The Braves, the Indians, the natives? Genocide, for the record, is 62, 44, and 37, just like Georgia, like where the monument is to genocide, the Georgia Guidestones that came down by the numbers. And we'll be talking more about that in a second. By the way, from this game where the Braves became 9-5 to his death is 26 days later. And here we are in 2026. Game is 26. Ball game is 26. You might notice game's also 19, like 19 years after he bought the team they won the World Series. And another 26 is from his death to CNN's upcoming birthday on June 1st is 26 days in 2026, as we're threatened with another killer virus that might have mutated from rodents like Cooties 19. COVID happened in the year of the rat, as Microsoft put out a video game about rats and the Black Plague. Because there's another there's another depopulation guy on the world stage. His name is Bill Gates, another 87. But anyway. You see how the Braves finished that series versus the Guardians on the anniversary of the start of the American Civil War? Another thing that killed a bunch of people needlessly. You see how they won at 13-1, like 131? Atlanta, Georgia, 131. Today's 131 days before the Pope's upcoming birthday. And yeah, notice the Braves have the best record in baseball. They are 26-11. It's the 2026 season, 26 days after that symbolic game, 26 days before CNN's birthday. Again, what are the odds? What are the odds? And he bought the team January 6th. Did I mention that today's the 126th day of the year, which is the 95th composite number? Did I mention that already? He won the World Series with the Braves in 95. He dies on the 126th day of the year, the 95th composite. And I'm so glad that we started looking at composite numbers because I knew there was something big about 126 in the Jesuits, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But, like John Carroll, very prominent Jesuit in U.S. history who founded Georgetown, and the whole Carroll family, just so connected to the founding of the country and the capital. But yeah, 126, the 95th composite. Today, May 6th, the 126th day of the year. You might recall when Kobe died on 126, and Los Angeles Lakers have that 95 connection. Anyway, he's dead 120 days after the anniversary of buying the team on the 6th day of the year. Atlanta has the 120 connection. If you counted the span of days, you could also say it's a span of 121 days. And for the record, blood sacrifice is 121, but so is his full name, Robert Edward Turner III. Whoops, hold on. Just to say equals 121. His full name is 121. And then do you see how his full name is 311 and 256? 256 is the 201st composite number. Huge number with the Jesuits. 311 is 201 in base 8 counting. So how interesting is that his name has this double connection to 201? And then if you just drop his middle name, Robert Turner III is also 201. Pretty wild. And you see the 201, 93, 105 in his name? Remember, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt created the Order of Illuminati that's also 201, 93, and 105. But yeah, again, dead 170 days before the start of the World Series. Sacrifice 170. That's Ignatius of Loyola Day, Mr. 87. He's dead at 87. Again, he said the world's population should be somewhere between 300 million and 2.5 billion. In his Audubon Society interview in 96, which really got this out of the bag that he was into depopulation, he said in that interview between 300 million and 500 million. And you know what else is interesting is from the Superior General's last birthday to his death is the 176th day of the Superior General's age, depopulation 176. Famous show about depopulation that a lot of people have watched in recent years. Starts out in Atlanta, Georgia, talking about The Walking Dead. You see the 59 there for depopulation? like Atlanta, Georgia. 59, also 131. Like I said, he's dead 131 days before the Pope's upcoming birthday. And then you'll recall the Georgia Guidestones went down on July 6th, 2022, which was George W. Bush's 76th birthday. Notice from the day they went down to today is exactly 200 weeks later. And that means next week's going to be 201, right? Next Wednesday is 201, May 13th. And you might recall they came down 201 days after Pope Francis's birthday, who was still alive at the time. And if you didn't know about Pope Francis, remember, Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, his name is 201 and 287. Pope Francis' birth name was Jorge Mario Bergoglio, which is 201. And if you weren't here at the time, when he died 201 days from St. Francis of Assisi's death, who he's named after. He died on Rome's birthday, the 111th day of the year. He died on the 312th day of Trump's age after Trump supposedly got 312 electoral college votes. Then we got Pope Leo from Chicago, the 312. And then you see the 105. Then we got Pope Leo, 105. And anyway, 201 was a big thing in the Georgia Guidestones with him coming down 201 days after Pope Francis' birthday. And don't forget, he was the first pope to live in the Domus Sanctae Martyr, which used to be a hospital named after the last Pope Leo. So the building he lived in was connected to the old Pope Leo. Now Pope Leo replaces him. You know that's not an accident. Anyway, it is interesting how we're about to begin the 201st week. Essentially, today does begin the 201st week since their collapse. And then next Wednesday is 201 weeks. So we'll see what happens in this next week. I have a feeling we got an interesting week ahead with feelings that the war's about to escalate in a big way. And of course, all these wars have the 201 stamp on them, as we've been covering. Again, if you're new here, the 201 thing is something I tried to write a book about starting 5 years ago, and then I just couldn't finish because there was a new major 201 ritual almost every single day of the week. And the goal of the book when I started was for it to be 100 pages, and I've written hundreds of pages, and I don't want hundreds of pages in a book because people don't read. So I've tried to, anyway, I might just throw everything away and just start over and just write something really simple and just explain, just pay attention because there's a new major 201 ritual in the world almost every single day, as we've been documenting for all these years as well. And my last book, Number Games, gets into the significance of 201. But of course, if I wrote about 201 now, it would be so much better because we understand so much more. And yeah, we're gonna this Hantavirus outbreak, which has all the parallels to the beginning of Cooties 19, which was simulated with Event 201. Wait until I show you the 201s in this Hantavirus outbreak. Just like, good God, these people. So yeah, his remarks about reducing the Earth's population. Oh, yeah, he said the Earth's population needs to be reduced by 95%. 95%, you guys. He dies on the 126th day of the year, 95th composite, won the World Series with the 95 Braves. And hold on, I think the 1995 World Series might have ended on Halloween. Let me see. Oh, no, it actually ended 3 days before that. They paid tribute to the 95 World Series. Remember the Braves won the World Series the other year, the 117th after Hank Aaron died? I remember what it was. They lost 9-5, the Braves, and then they closed it out in the next game. But it was on Halloween the other year, and the Braves won it. They lost 9-5 on Halloween, no doubt in tribute to that 95 World Series. And remember, Halloween's the anniversary of Martin Luther penning the 95 Theses, which brought about the Protestant Reformation. All right. Yeah, again, he's dead exactly 33 weeks from his anniversary, the CIA's birthday of his remarks. You know what else is interesting? That was the 49th birthday of the CIA, and 49's the 33rd composite, and now he's dead 33 weeks later. Remember, federal 33, Washington 49. The numbers are like peas in a pod. Scottish equals 49. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite is 33. The rites of the Scottish Rite were written by Jesuit priests, so on and so forth. In light of his death being exactly 25 weeks from the Superior General's birthday, well, it's exactly 25 weeks after, or if you count the span of days, it's 176, like we talked about with the depopulation. But yeah, 25 weeks after the Superior General's birthday. Today leaves 239 days left in the year, which is the 52nd prime, Pope 52, 25 weeks, Pope 25. Today, May 6th, can be written 5-6. This threatening pandemic with the Hantavirus, Pandemic 65, like Hantavirus. Today can be written 6-5 as well. You know, the type of thing that could do devastation to a population. And yeah, again, just to the Superior General's upcoming birthday, 190 days. Cable News Network, 190. Remember, he's going to turn 78 this year. That's a big deal. We'll get into that more when we talk more about the Hantavirus here in a second. And he did die on a Wednesday, 37 and 44, like Georgia. Also, Atlanta Braves with the 37. They played 37 games this year. They were 26 and 11 when he died. Just for the record, this year will be the 122nd World Series, the 122nd. Kansas City's 122. The Braves opened the season versus Kansas City, and they won their games 6-0 and 6-2 to start the year. So they outscored Kansas City 12-2 in the first two games, just for the record. For the record. Again, we keep track of sports every day on Patreon. Ted Turner died 168 days after his birthday at his home in Tallahassee, Florida, which equals 168. Quite perfect. And let's see. He got into media in 60. A lot of 60 stuff in the time of Donald Trump after winning the 60th election. And we say winning with a big asterisk because nobody wins any of these rigged selections. Trump had a lot of sacrifices connected to 60. Maybe Ted Turner's another one. But yeah, here's the other thing. When he opened CNN, he said, "We will be on the air until the end of the world." And he said, "At the end of the world, we will play the song Nearer My God to Thee," which is sang by Sarah Flower. And her name equals 126. Dead on the 126th day of the year. He's dead 73 days after her birthday anniversary, February 22nd. Again, sacrifices 73 and 46. Again, like CNN's turning 46, and 170 like the World Series starts in 170 days, and 62 like Georgia. And don't forget, Genesis 46 about sacrifices in the Torah, which also equals 62 and 73, and 26 with all the 26s on his death. And, you know, the title of the song has God in it. God 26, the threat of the virus right now, which they're talking a lot about on CNN today alongside Ted Turner. And you could also say it was a span of 74 days from her birthday. Lewy body dementia 74. That's his cause of death. And then from her death anniversary is a span of 38 weeks. How about that? Death 38, murder 38, killing 38, RIP 38. He was born in 38 was Ted Turner. Pandemic 38. The 74 and the 38 thing, killing 74 and 38. Pandemic also 38 and 43. Don't forget Event 201, the last pandemic simulation, the day of the Military World Games in Wuhan, China, began October 18th, the day leaving 74 days left in the year. But yeah, they say this song was played as the Titanic went down, which was no doubt another Jesuit ritual, as we've covered so many times. So yeah, those are the things I noticed about Ted Turner's death. And I'm sure a lot of people don't even know that what Ted Turner said the opening day of the network, or that he was another depopulation freak and likely another puppet on the world stage. But yeah, this Hantavirus thing. Today, the BBC focused on a 56-year-old who had to be removed. Look at it. Look what it says. The ship is currently in Cape Verde. 3 patients, including the 56-year-old from Britain, were evacuated to the Netherlands on Wednesday. I mean, how many times can I give these same lessons, you guys? Today can be written 5-6, right? When you spell out 3, it equals 56. You guys might recall Super Bowl 56. The spread was 3.5 points. We knew to take the underdog at plus 3.5 because we thought it would be a 3-point game. We also knew to take number 3, Odell Beckham Jr., to score the first touchdown at 9-1 odds, who was born on the day leaving 56 days left in the year and who was traded from Cleveland to LA on his birthday. Like the Rams went from Cleveland to LA, not to mention it was his 29th birthday that year, and Ohio's 29, and so was football, and football's the birthplace of Ohio, and Odell Beckham's trade was the sign that the Rams were going to Super Bowl 56, and they played the other team from Ohio, the Bengals, Joe Burrow, who got transferred from Ohio State to LSU on Cannonball Day, which was the day Billy Cannon died. And it's good that I bring up Cannonball Day because we're about to talk about it again. Oh yeah, by the way, this boat with 3 people on it, or 3, this boat where 3 more people were taken off with the Hantavirus. It's parked in Cape Verde. No, it's off the coast of Africa, where they love to experiment with all their bio. I can't finish that sentence for Google, but you know what I'm saying. They're over by Africa, where they love to pick on the people. In the time of Cooties 19, Bill Gates was shown what a nice guy he was, how he gives people jobs in Africa to go inside a tent full of his GMO mosquitoes and get sucked to death, like by a gazillion little vampires. GMO vampires, mini GMO vampires. And I said, man, Bill Gates, there's a lot of people in Seattle that are looking for work right now. Why not open up some of those tents just right in your own city, buddy? Why go all the way over to Africa? So these eugenics racist types, from Bill Gates to Ted Turner. But yeah, check this out, you guys. And shout out to Joe Mo for the early lead. He said I needed to look into who the ship was named after, where the Hantavirus outbreak came from. And so that's what I did. And in case you missed yesterday's broadcast, again, on April 6th, we got a cruise ship, the MV Hondias, which has the 46, just like Virus has the 46 and the 26. And April 6th was 26 days after the anniversary of the Cooties 19 pandemic being declared. But yeah, we went into this yesterday, and all this information is coming from the WHO, another 46 organization. And April 6th, 2026 was a date with 56 numerology. And now here we are on May 6th, where they're giving you the 56 headlines about the latest from the ship. And yeah, anyway, let's scroll down here. Notice this Cape Verde is on the 54th parallel on 5-6. Remember, Jesuit Order 54, Society of Jesus 56, right? 2 peas in a pod, 2 things that are the same thing, 2 names for the same thing. And they relate this way, too. The Jesuit logo is the sun. Sun, what does the sun create? It creates light. Light 56, sun 54. Light is knowledge to the occult. So I have some observations about some upcoming dates. I'll come back to that point. But this ship, you guys, is named after a Dutch cartographer. And consider that cartographers map things out, like how the cabal has seemingly mapped out decades in advance their plan for world domination, and we're living out the scripts. And big events in the script are like when the 2 towers became 0 before they became 1 and started 20-some years of war that ended on the Jesuit Order's birthday, before it transitioned into the 201 ritual with what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, and also Israel and Hamas, which is now led into U.S. and Iran. And remember, last year when we were bombing Iran, it was a 201 ritual as well. But anyway, the ship is named after this Dutch cartographer, Jodocus Hondius, 177 and 201, like the Jesuit Order. And remember, it was Klaus Schwab, Jesuit educated, who put on the Event 201 simulation. His name has the 177 in it, and 69, like the Jesuit Order. You might have noticed his name also had the 120, like Illuminati, which again was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. All right. But yeah, the ship is named after a guy whose name equals 177-201. And then when I saw that, I said, well, wait a minute. He's Dutch. Virology came from the Dutch. And hold on. I'll go back to some of these things. I'll go back to why Wisconsin's up here in a minute. But yeah, virology comes from the Dutch. And the father of virology is Martinus Birgenik, which a name that equals 201 and 84, like the Jesuit Order. I mean, isn't it just too perfect? All this little ritualism. And for the newer person, you're going to know who you are, newer person, because you're leaving a lot of comments lately. I can tell that you're not really understanding what my work's about, though, because you left a comment like, I hope that nobody from that cruise ship makes it. Well, I don't know. Maybe they really did unleash something on that cruise ship, but my guess is this entire news story is totally bogus. That's my guess about this news story. Just entirely bogus. Like most of the stuff in the news, made up psychological operations. Because again, it's that occult principle of mind over matter. They know if they control people's minds, that's all that matters. If they control your mind, nothing else matters. Oh my God, the corona. Nobody looked it up, right? Because the news never covered it once. That in 1968, I must have been stuttering when I made this headline this morning. The Hantavirus outbreak. Hold on, let me fix that. I can't handle that. But yeah, nobody looked it up. 1968, coronavirus was coined as seasonal flu. Oh, wow, seasonal flu. Holy shit, lock the world down, seasonal flu. Lester Holt told you every night, seasonal flu cases way down, corona cases way up. News for a bunch of dipshits. And then some idiot's going to be like, my grandpa died from corona. Your grandpa would have died from the flu, moron. Elderly die from flu every year. Every year, moron. Every year. And had they not gone to the hospital, they probably would have lived, to be perfectly honest. Moron. I don't have any sympathy over it. I'm sorry, I don't. People are assholes. You're listening to the authorities. You're doing what they're telling you to do. You're an asshole, okay? All they do is lie to you and bullshit you. And if you're still listening to them and following their directions, good riddance. But look at this, you guys. I've been talking about this nonstop. How last year on May 20th, 2025, the World Health Organization created the pandemic agreement with the help of, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Johns Hopkins and all the same people who simulated Cooties 19. They created the pandemic agreement on May 20th, which is Cannonball Day, to remember the Superior General Ignatius of Loyola getting shot. Look at this, you guys. From that day to this outbreak's 322 days, which is also 46 weeks, and it happened on April 6th, 4-6, on the MV Hondius. And don't forget how virus and chaos overlap. Order out of chaos is the motto in Latin, ordo ab chao. They're reflections of each other, but they both have the 89, the 46, and the 26, and here we are in 2026. And I told you at the start of the year to expect some big virus story this year, which is too predictable. And yeah, I mean, if you missed this, the World Health Organization's pandemic agreement, they did this at where's all my? Is this not the right post? Hold on. That must not be the right post. This is the one I wanted to say. So they did that at the 78th World Health Assembly, the 78th, right? And World Health Assembly happens to equal 78. It synced up with the SPARS pandemic simulation, which is set between the years 2025 and 28. SPARS pandemic is 78. And the Superior General will turn 78 this year, the leader of the Jesuits, and their motto is order out of chaos, which is 78, like Jesuits 78, like Wuhan coronavirus is 78. And in 2020, the pandemic was declared 78 days after Anthony Fauci's birthday, Jesuit educated at Holy Cross. And yeah, don't forget the pandemic of 2020. The first case in the world outside of China was traced to January 15th in Bill Gates' backyard the year he turned 65. But notice that was 65 days after the Superior General's birthday on a date that can be written 15/1. And look, Hantavirus, 65, right? 65 and 43, like pandemic is 65 and 43. And don't overlook the 133 and 137 either, because those are big government numbers. And we know the world governments, who they're controlled by and who they're collaborating against, we the people. Yeah, Event 201, 65 million die. That was 65 days from Melinda Gates' birthday, because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation were the co-sponsors. And don't forget that Melinda Gates' birthday is the Jesuit Order's birthday, so it was 65 days from the Jesuit Order's birthday as well. And yeah, you should go back and watch my video on this thing, because there's more in here. I'm not going to go over all of it, but just even the details of where the outbreak begins and how they used a real church in St. Paul, Minnesota, which reminds of that movie Contagion, where Contagion was a movie. And then a decade later, the same actors from Contagion, who are mostly CNN news anchors, speaking of CNN, they were delivering the same lines on TV, and people are like, oh, that's weird. That's exactly what they said in the movie. And now they did a news broadcast using the exact same words. Yeah, these things aren't an accident. Contagion equals 145 like Catholic. Look up who gave the first vax mandate in the world. It was the Catholic Church. A lot of people don't realize how powerful the church is in its history. Yeah. Oh, it's funny. I even brought up the Johns Hopkins, and when the Georgia Guidestones came down, you guys, they came down on Daniel Coit Gilman's birthday as well, which is also George W. Bush's birthday, and they're both Skull and Bones members, and Skull and Bones equals 76. Remember, the Georgia Guidestones were put up on 3/22, March 22nd, 1980. Speaking of 3/22, here we go again. So, and again, Skull and Bones is modeled after the Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, who died on November 18th, 1830, the 322nd day of the year. All right. Yeah. So there are a few other details here, but about this 78 piece, look at what year Hantavirus was discovered, you guys. 1978. In 78, the Hantavirus was discovered. And at the beginning of this year, I was talking about this, how the Superior General is going to turn 78. I mean, I was talking about before even the beginning of this year, but I just reminded, since it was 2026, I said, I think this is a sign of what's going to come later this year. 78th World Health Assembly gave us the pandemic agreement that syncs up with their SPARS pandemic simulation and syncs up with all this other Jesuit crap, because May 20th is only important to the Jesuits. Think about it. It's the anniversary of the Jesuit founder getting shot. And the pandemic agreement is about how to get people a lot of shots really fast. And the next pandemic, which Bill Gates already said, is probably going to come a lot sooner than people expect. Go figure. Go figure. So yeah, Hantavirus discovered in 78. And notice it came out of the Korean War, which came out of the World War. And don't forget how Corona was the worst pandemic since Spanish flu, which came out of World War I. But yeah, 78 was big with the virus last time. Oh, also, do you see this thing about Hantavirus discovered in 78 and it wasn't discovered in the Americas until 93? Is it 33 years since 1993, you guys? Because we know they like the 33s too, right? I mean, they just can't get enough of the 33. Corona even had that 33. You know, Corona has the 96 too, in light of this April 6th, 96th day of the year. Ted Turner's remarks about depopulation in 96. But yeah, just to take you back down memory lane. By the way, that the name of that boat, the surname of that man, Hondius, it means dog. Hondius means dog. Dog, 26. Here we are in 2026, right? Virus, 26. The pandemic for cooties declared March 11th. To the end of March is 20 days later. That's the 31st. And then 6 more days to April 6th. So 26 days after that anniversary, we're getting this. And they're going back to the cruise ships again. I mean, God. And by the way, the last name, Jodusis, means God is gracious. So God, playing God with the virus, playing God with the mind control news. Now, the reason in this post that I brought up Wisconsin is I just noticed, and this, I could be completely off about this, but I do know that region of the country has a lot of Dutch settlers. The Midwest, that part, a lot of those button hook noses coming out of the Midwest. When I was in college, I dated a girl from that state. She had a great accent and a great button hook nose and a few other things. But anyway, MV Hondius, Wisconsin. It just made me think. I was like, And I noticed that he died in history 118 days after his birthday. So I'm just thinking of where they might go next. Fear not, people of Wisconsin. Fear not anybody, but again, it's just, they've told us what they're doing. They've told us what they're doing. There's going to be another pandemic sooner than they think. We got to get shots in your arms faster. We got to make sure more people get them. And then what do you know? What do you know? With their little agreement, it's just all perfectly synced up. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm sure there's even more that could be said, but shout out to Mike Ross for being a member for 35 months. Shout out to Roblanto for another big 20. He said, I tried to leave a comment, but YouTube would not allow it. It's about the movie Honor Student on Prime Video. Well, here, let me see if I can figure out what you're trying to say. Honor Student movie, Prime Video. Teresa is killed before and won't be stopped. It's a thriller on Prime Video focusing on a brilliant teen who takes a teacher hostage after his twin's death in a school shooting. Directed by Tamika Miller. Well, I'm sure you saw something in the movie that stood out like a sore thumb. What's happened in room 201? Don't forget, SH, December 14th, 2012. The shots were fired at the school established in 56 years later by Adam Peter Lanza. And then on the anniversary, the first cootie shots given to Sandy Lindsay in the U.S. And, you know, the name of the shot, 56, the name of the virus, 56. Again, the shooter at that event. Not to mention Sandy Hook was compared to the Dune Blaine Massacre, which happened 201 months and a day earlier. All the same stuff over and over. Shots fired, school shooting jokes, scaring people with the school shootings out of their rights and liberties. Again, look how they've used the school shootings to undermine the First and Second Amendment. And same with the cooties pandemic. Well, mostly, I don't know about the Second Amendment, but definitely undermining the First Amendment. And of course, if people didn't have a Second Amendment, what are they going to do when they're coming through your doors to stick, I don't know, the Hantavirus jab in your derriere? Anyway, right now I got the big one with the 3.5-inch shells ready to go. I got bigger shots ready to fire. Here, let me drop the link and see what you guys got. Let me see what you guys got to add to this conversation about Ted Turner, Hantavirus pandemic threats. Oh, and here's just one other thing I will say about just looking ahead with the way these people operate by dates. Realizing how important 65 is in this. Where did I write it at? August 20th. August 20th is the day leaving 133 days left in the year and 137 days from the April 6th outbreak. Hantavirus, right? Has the 133 and 137, but also it's 65 weeks and a few days after the pandemic agreement was agreed to. So that day, August 20th, has all these things going: 133, 137, 65. Just as a heads up. We got Marco in here first and King Richard. Now, Marco, the one thing that I can never get you to do is be decent with time. And usually, like, after you've gone on for a long time, I'm saying, I got to get off, my man, and then you got to go 10 more minutes. So, Marco, I really want you to be efficient with your time. My daughter could wake up any second, and we have other people behind you. So, let's say 5 minutes tops. I know you always got a lot of good stuff, Marco, but let's go 5 minutes tops. All right, here we go, Marco.
All right, I'm looking at the time here, but listen up, man. Today is the official launch day of the cover story for The Rage coming up. Did you take note of the date numerology between the time that the ship left from the end of the world to now? Have you looked at that? It's 47 days. Now,
wait, are you talking about the ship, the Hantavirus ship on April Fool's Day or something else?
Yeah, no. It's been 47 days from the time that it left to now when it docked. But here's something that no one's really covering and no one's connecting right now. You know, there was that story that came out, like, I think yesterday, where it says that they were trying to dock in Africa, but then they said,
help me out. It left April 1st, right?
Yes. So actually, hold on a second. I
mean, I haven't been getting a lot of sleep, but shouldn't it be 35 days?
No.
It
launched March 20th. March 20th is when it launched from Argentina.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So from the actual launch in Argentina, they were set to go to that Cape Verde area. But then, you know, obviously, they're just starting to build up the narrative right now. This is all going to be used as the cover story for the COVID jab rage coming up.
Somebody wants to know your channel website, so I'm putting it up. It's beingjustified.com. This is Marco's website if you want to check it out. Go ahead.
Scroll down a little bit because I've been covering this for a long time, you know, Zach. But if you go down, I have a free film called Corona Rage. This is, to me, when I look at the news right now on this particular subject matter, this is the official launch date. And what a perfect launch launch date, 5/6. But this is, I believe, the official launch date of the narrative of the cover story that they're going to start to build for the rage coming up. And really, truly, it's all coming from the COVID jab. I mean, but today they announced that, the actual headline from New York Post was kind of funny. It says this, it says 23 Hantavirus cruise passengers returned home to all corners, including to the US, and one is already sick. Now, rage with Gematria, that equals 23. That's what's coming, y'all. They're just setting up the narrative right now. But let me give you a funny little connection. The devil, he's like a serial killer, He's literally like giving us notes about this mass depopulation event that the baby mama of Elon Musk said is coming. Elon Musk, he has a baby mama called Grimes. And this baby mama recently on Times Magazine, she gave an interview and she said, there's a massive depopulation event coming. And this is going to be it, man. It's going to be the corona rage, man. They're about to activate these fools. And we got this as kind of like the cover story for it. But let me give you a very interesting serial killer type connection from the devil that he's doing here. Because yesterday it said that they couldn't dock in Africa, so they were going to go dock at the Canary Islands. And I said, you got to be kidding me, man. Because in 2024, I already covered this film when it first came out on our Watchmen Report. Look, I have a website, beingjustified.com. I do 3 weekly reports where I cover the news as to how it connects to the real biblical end times about to start with the Prince of the Covenant confirming the covenant. But in 2024, we covered this film. It's called Apocalypse Z, the beginning of the end. And this is what this is about. It's on Amazon Prime, by the way. But it says here, a Spanish zombie thriller on Prime Video follows a man trying to reach his family in the Canary Islands. I said, man, damn it, I knew it was some crap like that. So again, this is the cover story, y'all. And look, they just released a photo, quote unquote, that they showed one of the hantavirus victims that is being evacuated out. And on the license plate, they have 8002, just like you also see on Donald Trump's license plate, which 8002 is another allusion to the 82 eclipse of the century coming up
next year. And it's sort of like this August 20th date that I'm looking at too this year. Okay.
No, there's an eclipse. Look, we're already in what they call the golden age of eclipses. We already started it. This year on February 17th, with the start of the year of the fire horse, was the first eclipse of the golden age. It was an annular solar eclipse, which they call the ring of fire because the sun is the lake of fire. But the idea here is that it's already begun. The Kentucky Derby was all around the eclipse of next year, by the way. The trainer of the Kentucky Derby that won, the first female, her date numerology based upon the Kentucky Derby were the numbers that are involved on 8/2/2027. So she's just alluding to the golden age of eclipses, essentially, with golden tempo.
I think that's true with the market, too, because that golden tempo is market terminology as well. But, yeah, she won the 152nd Kentucky Derby on the 152nd day of her age. Golden tempo.
Oh, but if you...
The only horse sync with the Superior General, you guys. Golden tempo, 171, 171 days after the Superior General's birthday. Go ahead.
And, when you looked at her date numerology, that's what really stood out to me because I know that date very well of August 2nd, 2027. It involves two big numbers. It's 214 and also 151. Now, if you exclude the end date with that trainer, it is 151 from the Derby, and also to her next birthday from the Derby is 214. So she reflected with her date numerology the date of the eclipse of the century coming up, and that really caught my attention. And that kind of, like that was essentially the riddle there. It was quite simple, but yeah, no, man, this about, listen, Zach, look, they're already, I covered this on our last report. These people are as bold as can be at this point in time. Right now, what we're seeing with this hantavirus, it's a very clear indication that they are now, I officially consider it, this is the launch date of their cover story for the rage coming up. This is it. And it's a perfect day, 5/6. We also had at the Vatican 28 new Swiss guards being sworn in front of the image of Judas there. The perfect number, 28 plus 28 equals 56. But, for me, this is the launch date because you can actually even see how they actually worded it, that 23 hantavirus cruise passengers return home. Now, notice what they said there. It says to all corners, to all corners. We got them going to all corners now. And listen, Zach, if you go online, there's another group. I'm looking forward to this music video coming out next week. They're showing you the locusts that are coming out of the bottomless pit pretty soon by the middle of the tribulation. They're actually showing you. It looks like a horse. It's got a scorpion tail. It's got wings. It's got teeth like a lion. They're showing you this stuff. I mean, like, this is the crap is about to get real. The crap is about, look, there's going to come a point in time that I've heard what you say about the last days, that they're using it as their playbook. But there's going to come a point in time that you're going to definitely, this is not a playbook. It's actually happening. There are going to be locusts that come out of the bottomless pit. And they're showing us this crap right now with this group called ESPA. They got a brand new song coming out called Whole Different Animal. And I couldn't even believe it when I saw it with my own eyes. I was like, oh my goodness.
Marco, we're at 7 minutes. Let the other people get in. And if they're done and we don't have anybody else hop on, you can come back and carry us on until my daughter wakes up. Is that fair?
That's fair.
All right. We'll put Marco in the back. He's always got a lot of interesting information. We're going to get Richard in here, Green Kid, and then we'll come back to Marco. What's up, Richard?
Yeah, what's up, Zach? I just want to add on that the Hantavirus traces back, or there's a case in Switzerland.
Oh, case in Switzerland, huh?
Yeah.
Like where those guards come from for the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, could you do me a favor, brother? If you could, if it's not too much to ask, could you shout out my new channel, because my channel's on the verge of deletion. I got one more strike and it's gone.
Okay, yeah. And just for people who come in and like, we're 30 minutes in the stream, like, hey, man, did you connect it to the Braves? Why aren't you on my Patreon? Because we connected it to the Braves in the World Series 5 seconds after the news broke 6 hours ago when we were doing the live stream. Actually, hold on, I was doing the live stream at 7 a.m. 8.5 hours ago, we made the connections. All you guys not on the Patreon, what are you spending your money on? You should be spending your money on the most important truth teller in the world. You should have major financing behind him, because then, you know what? We'd be beating the cabal. Again, all you guys, I'm gonna tout my own horn for a minute. If everybody was behind what we're talking about over here, the cabal would be finished. Instead, they're all watching all these bullshitters that don't have a clue about what they're talking about. It's the Jews. It's the small hands. No, it's not. No, it's not. What's your new channel, Richard?
It's in the private chat. The link's in the private chat.
All right. I didn't know you had to start a new channel. King Richard TV. Let me drop the link.
Yeah, because YouTube, they've already taken about 6 of my videos down. So one more strike and I'm done for.
I think my daughter's waking up right now.
All right, for sure. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Yeah, appreciate it, Zach. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to get Green Kid in here. And she's up, but she's not moving. Her eyes are open. Go ahead, Green Kid.
What's up, bud? I don't know. Did you catch it when Gene Hackman died and his wife died, that she died supposedly of the Hantavirus?
Is that right? Hold on. I'm going to get my daughter, and then I'm going to come back up and look this up. And
yeah,
I'll be right back. Keep talking. I'm going to put you and Marco back up here. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. Something that stuck out to me was the fact that he died and that supposedly she died of the Hantavirus. So I think that was in 2025. I'm not sure, but he starred in a movie which was called Extreme Measures. In that movie, I haven't watched it, but I guess the plot is supposedly he's a doctor and another doctor catches him doing something clandestine, which was just like experimenting on people. I guess they're hiding people in caves, which could probably tie into what the scientists that are missing right now could potentially be what that's about. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just trying to see what's out there, the information or lack thereof that they're giving us, you know. That's one thing that I noticed. And back, I don't know how long ago it was, I was watching that movie, I think it's 12 Monkeys, the one with Brad Pitt. And for some reason, I noticed that the bubonic plague, it ended somewhere around the 1350s, but the date that they had mentioned in there was 1362, and they said a time traveler went back in time 666 years from that time that she mentioned, which was 1362 to plus 666 would be 2028, which is the year of the monkey. So I don't know if that has anything to tie into that, but yeah, that's all I had to add. I won't take up any more time.
I'll remind people that Hulu also did a remake of that as a show about the time of Cootie's 19.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
right.
The pandemic starts in 2043. Like pandemic and Hantavirus are 43.
Huh.
I'll look up the thing about Gene Hackman's wife too. I didn't recall that she died from that.
Yeah, that was like afterwards, like after they did the autopsy or whatever.
Yeah, Gene Hackman was in some pretty interesting movies, including Enemy of the State. So yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah, earlier in the video I mentioned a video that a movie he was in where he played a doctor that was experimenting on people. So I don't know if you want to look into that as well. All right, take it easy, man. Beautiful daughter. Have a nice day.
Thanks, man. All right, Marco. Until she gets fussy, yeah, you got the mic.
Well, no, thanks. Hey, listen, Zach, I don't know if you ever seen this particular TV show. It came out in 2021. It's called The Bite. This one really caught my attention. It's like a B-rated TV show that came out, I think, direct to stream. But I recently reminded myself of it because I was looking how I covered it when it initially came out. But it was essentially written by a woman that graduated from Loyola University in LA. And essentially, it's about how there was a coronavirus, but it's called Sun 9 that would then create like a zombie apocalypse. So I thought that was rather interesting. I don't know if you've ever covered that, but that one really caught my attention as of late.
I didn't know about it. No.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and it doesn't have to go too far today.
Hold on, Marco. Hold the thought. I gotta let Dr. J in real quick.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
What's up, Dr. J? Don't forget to unmute there, Dr. J. Well, go ahead while he's not unmuting. Go ahead, Marco.
All right. But no, the other thing I was going to add was.
Hey, can you hear me?
There he goes. There he goes. All right. Quick pause.
All right, real quick. I just want to add. Can you hear me all right? I just want to add that it's 168 days is also 24 weeks. And Ted Turner is like known for creating the 24-hour cable news network or cable TV.
That's a good point. Yep.
And the last thing I had was, you know that he graduated from Brown, right? And his name,
yeah, okay.
the Brown shooting.
Yeah.
And today's 144 days after the Brown shooting, like Jesuit Order 144.
Makes sense. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, but that's all I wanted to add, Zach. I'll let Marco go on. Appreciate it.
All right, good to hear from you, Dr. J.
Yeah.
All right. There is also one other person in the back, but I think they're a troll. I don't know. I'll give you a shot. 91. No, don't pull out your PP. It's 91. Hello?
Yeah, stuff like this is cherry picking, man.
It's a troll. All right, Marco. She's still listening, so as long as she's patient, we're good.
Yeah, no, she looks pretty patient right now. I was gonna say the other thing that I was gonna mention was the what they say the hantavirus comes from, man. This just reminded me. Look, what I've been saying for quite some time now is that these Satanists with their rock bands and their pop bands and their music and TV and all that stuff, they like to tell us what's going on. And they have a rock band called Ghost that came out with a song called Rats. And what's rather interesting about the rat situation is how they're saying hantavirus comes from rats. And the interesting thing about this song, it came out shortly after COVID, was how it says that you let it into your system, you let it into your sanctum, and now you are going to suffer underneath the wrath of God. And essentially, they're talking about most likely what we're about to witness. Like I said, this is the final setup. This is the setup for the cover story of what's going to happen to the COVID vaccinated. They just came out with another song today by the K-pop, Korean pop world. And they always have new bands coming out left and right on this sort of circuit. But they have a brand new song called Zap. And it says, you're about to be zapped. And I'm just thinking to myself, these people, I'm telling you, it's basically the devil using these people as a mouthpiece to just tell people what's coming. It's like, you guys are all about to be zapped. And they even show a total solar eclipse at the beginning of their music video. And keep an eye, for your audience, keep an eye on the eclipse symbolism. Like I said, we're in the golden age. It already started on the start of the year of the fire horse, but we have an eclipse this year. There's 3 annular and there's 3 total solar eclipses coming, 3. And we have the total solar eclipse coming up on August 12th. That's not the one that I think everything's going to go haywire on. I think it's going to be the one next year, the eclipse of the century. But then there's also one in 2028 that goes over Australia. But the interesting thing about the one that goes over Australia is it kind of matches the path of a recent zombie film called We Bury the Dead that came out this year. And in that film, like I said, they have this experimental U.S. weapon that goes off, kills everybody, but then they start coming back online slowly. And that's how look, there's another song by the Korean pop world called Horizon. They have a lot of songs and they have a lot of terminology that I'm very clued in onto at this point. They have the word horizon. They have the word supernova. These are keywords that they're using here. And the idea is that they're going to have a supernova. That's the event that explodes. And then all of a sudden, here comes that horizon. But with this song called Horizon, they show how there's going to be an eclipse. Everybody's going to be looking at the eclipse. Then they all fall down in the video. They all fall down. But after they fall down, they start coming back and they start like breathing heavily and they start reaching. And they just had another Korean pop song called Dead Man Walking, where they also show the corona, the eclipse symbolism. And it says you're a dead man walking.
From South Korea, right? The hantavirus was discovered in South Korea. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't know why the hell they're using South Korea with their pop music so much to essentially give us the soundtrack to what's coming. It's essentially the devil doing it through these groups and just essentially just talking to us about what they have coming, man. He's like a serial killer. He's like a serial killer giving us all these notes, these innuendos, you know? But there's another song that they came out with this year. I couldn't even, it's getting pretty blatant, like I said. But recently they had another song this year come out called Dead Man Walking. And essentially at the beginning of the music video, they show a bunch of people dead on the ground and they start coming back. They start raising up. So what I'm saying to people right now is this. This is the launch date. Don't be puffed up in the sense that there's going to be a lot of people out there right now. This is what I see in the Christian community. This is what I see everywhere. They all think they see it coming. They all think, we know the alien card's coming. We know they're demons. We know that the Hantavirus is going to be the setup for the next pandemic. I tell these people, shut the hell up. You have no freaking clue what's coming, man. You have no freaking clue what's coming, man. The devil is about to shock the crap out of everybody with what he's about to do because it's a whole new world now. It's a whole new world at this point. We have 70% of the world with something in them. I call it the Jesuit Corona juice. It's on the loose, and it's about to get put to use. Okay, but that's what I'm saying.
I'll be right back. I have to do something real quick.
All right. Yeah, no, that's essentially what I've been talking about. I mean, for your audience, I will just say, take a look at this Korean pop world, man. They have songs for all sorts of agendas at this point. Like I said, today we're going to cover a brand new song called Zap. They're saying that everybody's about to get zapped. And then, like I said, they got Dead Man Walking that just came out this year. They have another song called Awake, where they show a bunch of like Jesuit priests that are like dancing around these devils. I'm just like, man, this stuff it's as blatant as it can be. And also the other thing is recently at the Met Gala, you know, it's essentially a big show as to also showing us what's coming. And the other one that I was going to highlight this time around was Katy Perry. She's looking like a humanoid robot because that's essentially what's going to happen to everybody. We're living the Metropolis agenda, where we're about to go through what they call the Singularity Supernova event, and then people aren't going to be human no more. They're essentially going to be robots. And that's essentially what Katy Perry was showing us at the Met Gala. She looked like a humanoid robot. And, you know, what I tell people is what we experienced with the coronavirus vaccine is Daniel 2:43, where the iron is mingling with the clay. And the iron are the devil frogs coming up, or Revelation 16 that unite the world. But that's all at play. Katy Perry recently had like an outfit that showed 6 fingers. And obviously that's a nice little innuendo to artificial intelligence, but it's another allusion to the giants that were mingled with angels and men. In the book of Samuel, you can see that the giants had 6 fingers. So that's also an allusion there, as she is dressed up as a robot with like an iron face. But yeah, no, it's getting rather pretty blatant. The hour is pretty late. Like I tell my audience, it's just really a matter of looking at, you know, the beast and seeing when he does that deal, because then the tribulation will start. But like I said, Zach, they have a group called ESPA. And in this particular group, I couldn't even believe it when I saw it. I pulled it up on Twitter and I was like, are you kidding me? And a lot of people say, oh, look at, they're showing us the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I'm like, you idiots, you don't know the Bible. I was like, the 4 horsemen don't have scorpion tails, you idiots. Those are the locusts that are coming out of the pit pretty soon. But it's a very good rendition of what the Bible describes. And the idea there is that, guys, they ain't holding nothing back. They're literally showing you these creatures that are about to hit the earth. And a lot of people, it just shows that their Bible ignorance. Like when you see that they're saying that these are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, first of all, they're not the same colors. But second of all, the horses have scorpion tails, guys. And that's essentially what's coming. By the middle of the tribulation, we're going to enter what they call, you always hear this a lot. This is another term, Zach. They call it the midnight hour, the midnight. It is the darkest period of human history coming up. It's going to be the worst time ever, like the Bible says, or ever will be. That's the midnight hour. And also, like you hear in Thriller with Michael Jackson, the midnight hour is at hand. And that's talking about the middle of the tribulation going forward into the great tribulation. But that is the midnight hour, the hour of temptation that the Bible calls, that will come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. But in this midnight hour, we're then going to hit the great tribulation. But towards the end of the great tribulation, the 3 last woes are the 3 last vials of the wrath of God. But one of those woes is going to be these locusts. When God's going to send an angel, an angel of God is going to open up the bottomless pit. And out of this pit is going to arise these locusts. These people are showing you these locusts at this point. I was just like, yo, man, they're showing us the locusts. Check this out. So again, there is going to come a point in time. By then, it's kind of late. It's kind of late in the game. There's already going to be a mass die-off coming up. But we first of all, we got to get through the rage. They got the corona rage coming. We got to get through a zombie apocalypse. But then the zombie apocalypse is going to be used by the devil to force us to the kingdom of the beast. But then we get to the kingdom of the beast and then the wrath of God. But then, by then, it's going to be the worst time ever. But towards the end, there's going to come a point in time. If people are alive during the Great Tribulation, you are going to know this is not a game anymore. Because you are quite literally going to see these creatures are pretty crazy looking. And listen, I've been a Bible believer, Zach, for about 16 years now. Since 2010, I've been a real Bible believer. And every time I read Revelation, I'm thinking, okay, I believe it. But I still trip out as to what's written. There's going to be some stuff that's going to be hard to swallow coming up. And these are some of those creatures that they're even showing us right now. I'm like, look at this, man. They're showing us the locusts. And essentially what they're showing us is like a big black horse. It's got wings. It's got teeth like a lion. It's got a scorpion tail because that's what it's going to use to sting people. It's going to sting people. And it's going to sting people so that they fear God. You got to understand, by the Great Tribulation period, there's 2 things going on. The devil is cast to the earth. He hates God. He hates the earth because he's cast down and he can no longer go back up into heaven. So he's pissed. And that's why the Bible says to woe unto the earth, because the devil is come down unto you full of wrath because he knows he hath but a short time. By the middle of the tribulation, Satan is cast out. But then also the beast is killed and risen. And he's claiming he's God in the temple of God. And then also, because of all this, God is then going to pour out his wrath because there's a man on the earth that a lot of people are going to believe that is God because he just came back from the dead. And then God's going to pour out his wrath. So there's a lot of things going on in the Great Tribulation. But by that period in time, it's going to be absolutely supernatural. There's going to be absolutely no doubt that what is written in the Bible is exactly what's playing out before our eyes. But like I said, the lead up is already in. Today, I definitely consider it the big first day of now how they're going to start to cover up for the rage coming up. Because when they announced that this Hantavirus is going off to all corners of the earth, I was like, oh man, here we go with this crap. And I was like, here we go. This is the official launch date for the Jesuits. This is the launch date for what they're going to use as the cover story when people are going to start to go crazy. Now, rage, you've seen the zombie movie 28 Days Later. That's essentially what we're going to get. We're going to get like homicidal maniacs. That's what's essentially going to happen. They're going to be full of wrath because they're essentially going to be taken over by that crap that they got that went to their head, that just takes over their head, essentially.
Well, it's interesting as always, Marco. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, people better wake up one way or another. They got plans for us, and some people already fell for their plans. And I'm not sure that what Marco's saying is exactly correct, but you definitely don't want that Corona, whatever juice, whatever you want to call it. You don't want that stuff in your body.
No, most
All
definitely.
All right, Marco. Well, I appreciate it as always. And again, his website, you guys, beingjustified.com. We don't agree on everything, obviously, but we both see who the power structure of this world and why they need to be stopped. So,
Yep.
All right, Marco, appreciate it, man. You have a good day.
You too.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, and then we got FBA, and then I got to get this girl some food because you can see she's still kind of waking up for her nap. She's slow wake up today, sleepyhead.
Winter Olympics is due.
Oh, no. Oh, God. It's another troll. All right, Ruby. Can we say goodbye to that break? Can we say goodbye? Goodbye. Can we do that? Can we say bye? I don't know what it is. She's a sleepyhead today. Normally when she wakes up from a nap, she's ready to go. No bye? Bye. Not today? Not today? All right, fair enough. All right, I'm going to go feed this one, you guys. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share and supports the work. Grateful for all the people who do. If you got here late, definitely rewind and watch the beginning. I went through all the main information at the beginning, and then we took some calls. You know, things always get a little wild when we take some calls, but what else is new? All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. And don't let the stuff I'm presenting scare you. Just be prepared for more BS. And if enough people understood it, we could stop the BS. That's really my point in doing these videos. All right, Truth Seeker. Till next time.